Notnerd Podcast, Episode 195, The French Connection.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. We've got all kinds of news coming up for you today. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Well, hello there, sir. How are you today?
I am good. We're coming off the Labor Day weekend here in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm. I heard it described this way. Yeah, Labor Day is the holiday where all salaried employees get the day off and everybody else has to serve them.
Yes.
I thought that was kind of funny.
That's about right. Well, let's get into some follow-up. As we mentioned, the Apple event, it has been confirmed for next week, September 10th. So we will be doing our typical Apple event special episode after the event happens. We'll record, give you guys our breakdown of what they talk about, probably new phones and I would 99% new phones and who knows what else.
Yeah, and I'm getting a little nervous because I was hoping that they would announce a new laptop at this event, but there are rumors saying that they're going to be a follow-up October event,
I know.
like with maybe iPads, so maybe the laptop. So who knows? But I'm hoping they just drop everything on the 10th because I don't want to wait.
I know. I am eagerly waiting. I actually took my laptop into Apple because I know they have their battery replacement program. So I made an appointment.
Did they laugh at you and go, "We haven't seen one of these in like 10 years.
Well, they had because Todd took his even older one in recently. But I said, I know the battery's bad. I want to get it replaced. So he ran some diagnostic tools on it. And he checked the battery level thing on it and said, yep, it needs to be replaced because it tells you right in there. But they have to do some other testing, make sure everything else is doing. And $199, and I figured I'm getting a new laptop soon. My battery in this is not very good. It's usable, but it gets kind of weird. Mm-hmm. And then I figured it would up the resale value when I do go to sell this to have a new battery in there.
Would it up the resale value by $199 though? Maybe?
But the holistic cost, especially if Apple keeps putting off this new laptop to see if that's the one I want. So we get through and he goes, well, this is how we do it. It'll take 7 to 10 days.
What?
And I said, well, I need a computer because that is how I make my living. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what? I'm just not going to do it for now. I will make do. I was actually talking to one of the employees about, oh, you guys have a really nice 14-day return policy, don't you? And so I was thinking, because I've got the 15. I've had the 15-inch for 11 years now, this model.
Yeah, not that exact machine, but that model.
3 different machines, but this size. But the 13-inch, just the extra portability of that with my good eyes is kind of tempting. So I was like, well, do I buy a 13-inch, try it out for 10 days while my laptop, it'll probably be quicker than that, but they like to under-promise, over-deliver. And so I thought about just buying one, putting all my stuff on there, sending this one off, but I haven't done that yet. And I really should not worry about it because I just need to get work done. And most of the time I'm at my desk with my laptop plugged in.
That's true.
But besides the Apple event announcement, Microsoft has also made an announcement. They're going to have an event in early October, which will probably be their Surface devices.
Yeah.
And today, I believe it was today, Android 10 came out. We were just talking how they switched it from Android Q to Android 10. So if you have, I believe it's available for all the Pixel devices today, or as you listen to this, and it'll be rolling out to limited other devices, I'm sure, because that's how Android works. But and Google will be having their Pixel announcement sometime within the next month too. So lots of new devices and technology coming.
It's almost
quickly.
like the school year is coming up and Christmas is around the corner. I mean, it makes perfect sense that this is when all the new tech arrives.
Yes, almost like there's a rhythm to it. And speaking of new tech, you found an article on something we've been talking about and starting a new podcast about, the rise of pet tech.
Yeah, I saw this article and I skimmed through it and I just thought this is just validating what I'm seeing in the world, that pets and technology, there's applications, there's hardware, there's all these things that these two worlds are kind of colliding. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little pedometer, a petometer that you can put on your pet to see how many steps it's getting, and
make sure it's getting its exercise
with the built-in GPS thing,
heart
so you
rate.
can find it. Who knows? But people love their pets, and technology is ripe to create new items and new software and new hardware to integrate owners and pets in a closer relationship so that they can, I don't know,
to capitalize on people's love for their pets.
they can be happier.
The pet industry was $77 billion with a B dollars in 2018 in the U.S. alone. Now, I have to imagine that the U.S., I don't know if the rest of the world's quite... didn't see a lot of people in Uganda with a lot of pets that they were caring for.
I think animals in other parts of the world are used primarily for food and not for recreation.
Yeah, but it just makes sense that people are going to try to capitalize on that, make technology for your pets.
But you can learn about all kinds of things. There's FitBark, PitPat, BabbleBark, all these companies and technologies, PetTech. These words and phrases I've never heard of before. So it's very interesting. But if you're interested in pets and technology and how they work together, then you can take a look at this article from the Next Web. Very, very interesting. I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open to pet tech opportunities.
Yes.
So if we come across any cool revolutionary things, we'll let you guys know.
True. Nike, we talked earlier in the year about their new shoes where it like auto ties and there's all this stuff. Well, now they have a new model with the Adapt technology, and you can use Siri or your Apple Watch to adjust the tightness of your athletic shoes.
Hey Siri, tighten my shoes. Oh, she actually turned on. Sorry about that, Siri. She's like, what's a shoe? I found something on the web about shoes.
You just purchased $225 worth of Nikes.
That's if I would have done the Amazon one.
Yes. But yeah, so if I could see maybe if you're an elite athlete and like running a marathon or something, but
nobody needs this.
No.
Nobody. I mean, you can rack your brain trying to think of use cases for this. This is really not a technology anyone needs, but
no,
we'll see.
YouTube Kids. We use the YouTube Kids app a lot on our devices.
Would you say Isla is a YouTube kid?
Yes.
She kind of
Isla is a YouTube kid. She enjoys watching her various videos there, but they have introduced a new preschooler filter. So for the younger, there's YouTube Kids, which is probably like up to 8 years old or something. They've got a new filter where it will filter it down even further. Now, I am usually near her, or one of us is, while she's watching these videos, and they all seem I know there were some problems a year or two ago where there was some weird stuff getting in there. It's very innocuous. It's Peppa Pig episodes. It's Ryan's toys, unboxing toys. It's all seems pretty good, but to have a little more of a filter there to get even more dialed in. Now, the one thing, YouTube, if you're listening, why do you not have a YouTube Kids app on the Apple TV? I've probably brought this up before. It's on iOS. It's on Android. It's on... I think maybe the Roku has it, but on the Apple TV, you can only use the YouTube app. So I could set up her own profile with all the settings and everything, but then
just
I'd have
make
to
a separate app.
You've got it everywhere else.
Yeah.
You should be able to easily put that on the Apple TV. You can stream it from your device to the TV, but just put it on the dang Apple TV.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a while, Dave. Crypto Watch.
I can't wait. What happened now?
Yes, well, this is actually an interesting one. The Capital One hacker that we talked about, the lady in Seattle that got access to all these servers, and with the Capital One breach, she took a bunch of information that she shouldn't have. She was also using all these AWS cloud servers for these big companies to do crypto mining. So she was installing crypto miners to get cryptocurrency on these major, huge cloud servers.
That's clever. She should have kept her mouth shut.
She should have. Why she opened her mouth, I do not know. But as we always do when we have a Crypto Watch story, we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin. It is currently at $10,693.80.
And I side glanced an article of a guy who said it's going to go up to 28,000. That was his.
Was
Guess.
this on the subreddit Buttcoin? They've been saying that. There is somebody that says that every day. It goes up and down. Over the last 3 months, the low was 7,400 and the high was about 14,000. So again, do not take any financial advice from us. So yeah, cryptocurrency, I don't know. The buzz is definitely over. There's people that think it's still valid, that Bitcoin will still be valid, but
Right.
I just don't.
It's too complicated. I was thinking, like, I had a Bitcoin wallet type thing that I made when all this was the rage, and I don't even know how to get into it. I don't know if there's anything in it, or I have no idea. No
I know.
concept.
I was looking at it in one of the apps more recently. I was like, I just wonder how the process is. And it's like, it takes like 7 days to get your Bitcoin, to get your transaction to go through.
Because it's so big or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't stay away from it. But the thing you should not stay away from is Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So I thought long and hard about this tip, Nate. I decided to go take a look for inspiration from Grandpa Bill's Windows 95 or whatever thing this was. His book his computer tips.
Computers for Seniors.
Yes, computers for seniors. And I kept flipping through it, and one word kept sticking out in my mind, and I was like, no, nobody wants to talk about this. But I was compelled. So for inspiration, Grandpa Bill's book said spreadsheets. And I'm like, how are spreadsheets relevant today? Mm-hmm. And do people need to know about spreadsheets? I thought we could take this opportunity to just lightly talk about some of the benefits and advantages you can do with spreadsheets, because I think a lot of people are afraid of them. They're like, well, I'm not a business financial executive. Why would I need a spreadsheet? But if we just kind of touch on some of the benefits, I think maybe we might turn some people onto the idea of using a spreadsheet. So a spreadsheet is a program made up of individual cells, text cells that you can put text, numbers, formulas, whatever. It's just a big grid of cells, and they interact with each other, and you can do all these complicated things. For Microsoft computers, for PCs running Windows, there's Excel. That's one of the primary spreadsheet programs. For Apple, a couple years ago, they came out with the Numbers program, which is a spreadsheet. And then, of course, for Google in the cloud, and you can use it pretty much on any device, is Google Sheets. Those are all three spreadsheets. And way back, there was like Lotus 123 and all these things. So that's what a spreadsheet is. But I just wanted to quickly read through a list of things that you could do with spreadsheets, and then maybe get some feedback from you of how maybe you use spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So just quickly, I'm just going to pick out a couple things from this article I found on goskills.com. Obviously, you can use the spreadsheet to do math and calculations. You can set up all of your accounting in an Excel spreadsheet. You can make charts. If you have a couple data points, make a chart. Now, there are ways to do all these things elsewhere, like you can use Quicken for your accounting, but you can do it in a spreadsheet too. Hey, maybe you have a small business, inventory tracking. You put the item, next to it you put the number, and then you make a formula that says, here's all the cells added up. You can plan with this stuff. You can make calendars, schedules. One thing that I didn't even think of, you can make a seating chart in Excel, because you can draw little circles and squares and label them. You can make goal plans, task lists, checklists, project management. Now, you would probably be surprised, but not surprised if you're in the know, of how many people and companies use Excel or other spreadsheets for project management.
Yeah.
It's ripe for putting in calendar dates and completion bars and task lists. You can divide them up in pages. So the list goes on and on and on. And let's not even forget that with modern spreadsheets, you can share them with people, and so that two people can collaborate on the same sheet across time and space. So
time and space.
I know. So what are some of the ways, Nate, that maybe you utilize spreadsheets in your day-to-day life?
Yes. Well, probably the most intensive use of a spreadsheet is I have a tax. I do my taxes.
A tax haven.
A tax haven, yes. Offshore tax haven. So it has multiple sheets. No, I have a spreadsheet that I created years ago that one day usually in April, close to the 15th, I sit down and I go through all my different income, all my different expenses. I put them all in there so that I can get my totals to put into TurboTax.
Right.
Mostly I use them when other people are giving them to me with data or whatever. I use them for some charts. One of the things I was thinking as you were going through these things is spreadsheets are very multi-purpose, and one place that we've gone with all these cloud solutions and websites and all the different things we try out, there was very good ways and maybe easier ways to do these via a service, like, task management or charting. There's other ways to do it.
Sure.
But spreadsheets are very practical, and, you can usually export data from anywhere into a CSV, a comma separated value, and then import it into a spreadsheet.
And that CSV just explains how the data is organized.
Yes.
It's not complicated.
Yeah. So I get an email every morning from the HP Business Outlet with their whole spreadsheet of all the refurbished all the computers they have for sale in there, and it's very confusing, but there's a lot of ways that you can make data very usable with spreadsheets. And so don't forget about spreadsheets.
Don't be afraid of them. And if you're interested in kind of doing spreadsheets 2.0, check out Airtable online. Yeah. It is an online spreadsheet plus. You can do much more than just put numbers in and tally it at the bottom. You can do project management. I was experimenting with doing video shoot planning with different camera angles and scripting and timelines, all integrated into this one Airtable. So check that out if you're interested in doing something that's a little bit out of the boring ordinary with spreadsheets. But don't forget about them when it comes time to make a list or figure out something quick. Your computer has access to a spreadsheet, whether it's installed or you can find something online.
I'm going to add on to this a little bit with a little bonus pro tip that I was thinking about the other day. And you and I, Dave, we are lifelong learners. We're always trying to learn new things. And I think a lot of people, that's the reason why a lot of you are listening to the Notnerd podcast. Yeah. You want to stay in the know. You want to learn something new. And I just Google something. If you're doing a spreadsheet and you're like, man, I really wish it could do this. There is a 99% chance it can. You just don't know how to do it. Google it. You'll find a video or a tutorial. You can walk through it. I do that all the time with like Photoshop or Illustrator or WordPress.
YouTube has tons of tutorials that are for free.
Yeah. So learn a little bit. If you do use Excel at work, there's probably more you can do with it, whatever you're doing in there to make your job easier. I've worked with some people that use Excel that it was just painful, their workflow. So try to improve your workflow, especially if you use spreadsheets.
Right.
On to our takes of the week. The first story, TVs.
Yes.
Big screen TVs, LED, LCD, OLED, all these different types.
Micro LED.
You go to Best Buy, they've got 250 of them up on the wall, and they all just are glowing and look beautiful and all this stuff. Well, there's been some discussion over time where these settings that they default to are these cinematic, almost soap opera-y, motion blurring, or is that what they call it, motion blurring?
Well, there's a lot of technology built into TVs to undo motion blurring and to make everything look crisp and clear and as high of frame rate as possible. The problem is it makes it look like a cheap video camera when you do that, because that's exactly what you get from a cheap video camera is a very clear, there's no cinematic feel to this. But I could go on. I'm kind of a nerd in this area. But the long and short of cinematic with the 24 frames and all that is that it does allow the camera to blur images because the frame rate is lower. That's it. So continue.
Because of the way the TVs have tried to make things the way they want it to make a better picture, now there are filmmakers, Hollywood studios, consumer electronics companies, and the UHD Alliance have collaborated to make a new cinematic setting for TVs so that it will see that you're watching a movie and it'll turn off these settings. And I think Vizio and a couple
the smoothing
others.
And all that stuff. So that's right. Those TVs work very hard to undo all the hard work that the filmmakers have done. And so they're getting together and they're saying, look, can we just make a setting in there to switch everything back to what the filmmaker intended? I mean, I know it won't surprise you, but you can go into probably 90% of the homes in America, and they're just watching everything on the default settings.
Yeah.
And half the time they look terrible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So, like, here's one quote from Reed Morano. Filmmaker mode is essential because as filmmakers, the way we make things look is specifically intended to generate an emotional response from the audience. So it's that kind of thing. So it's Vizio, LG, and Panasonic are the launch partners. But yeah, just kind of interesting. The TVs have so much technology that now they're having to create a new setting to get it back to where, and UHD is the Ultra HD software or spec.
yeah. And you may recall, I don't know, about a year ago, Tom Cruise and one of the directors, I can't remember who it was, made a PSA about how to turn off these settings in your TV.
I don't remember that. We'll have to find that in the show notes.
Anyway, it's just kind of like a public service announcement. They're just saying, you need to go into your settings, you turn this off. But for the cinematic feel, there are screen ratios, there are lens optic ratios, there are contrast, there's film grain, there's shutter speed, film speed. All these things work together to contribute to the emotion or feel of a movie. And these TVs with their default settings just throw all that in the trash.
Yep.
So that's the push and pull on this. This is why filmmakers want to make your home viewing experience so much better. And it's kind of working against cinemas because oftentimes people go to the theaters to see movies in this, this big flashy way, but all of us have these HD TVs in our homes. And so I don't know, maybe the film world is accepting the fact that people are watching movies at home now and they just want to provide the best experience possible.
Yep. Apple, speaking of best experience possible, they have introduced a new independent repair provider program. So we talked recently, Best Buy is going to start doing a lot more Apple repairs. There's only so many Apple stores. But this expands genuine parts access to more repair businesses. So it's not just anybody can do this. You do have to be a Apple certified repair. They have many different levels of certification within Apple. It used to be you had to be a certified repair or service provider, which is like a bigger shop, takes a lot of money to get this. But now they're extending it with the same pricing that somebody like Best Buy probably gets better pricing, but any of the other Apple stores, certified stores. So now more people are going to be able to repair things with the actual parts that they need, like we were talking about recently with the batteries, the iPhone batteries, where it'll give you a little message. Now, these people can get, at a reasonable price, the right battery to repair your device better.
And we're spoiled here in the Portland area. There are 3 Apple stores relatively nearby.
Yes.
I could be at 3 stores within a half hour. And there are a lot of areas like rural Kansas, where I come from. I don't even know where the nearest Apple store is. Probably Denver. I mean, you have to drive several hours to get to an Apple store. And so to have someone in a nearby town that's an authorized service provider who can get genuine Apple parts is really huge for a large swath of America.
Yes, and I do see here, to qualify for the new program, businesses need to have an Apple-certified technician who can perform the repairs, and then it's a free-of-charge certification to get into the IRP program. So you're having to jump through less hoops to get the best parts.
Right, and that was just talking about the U.S. Worldwide, the conditions are even worse.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard to get to an Apple store. So I think this is great. It's going to help people have the tools and the products that they need to repair their phone in a safe way so that everybody's experience is better.
Yes. Yelp is adding some new features. They're putting in a new survey.
Does anyone use Yelp anymore? But
it's always the first search result. I think people must be using it.
Okay.
I don't use it too often.
Anyway, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
If you're in a new town, maybe, and you're looking for something, you might go to Yelp to look around. But they've got this new survey that you fill out for personalization. So dietary, lifestyle, and accessibility preferences. So, for me, who is low carb, looking for low carb options, you could put that in there, and it would give you low carb restaurants that are tagged that way. So I think it's great. It's because Yelp can be overwhelming, and that's why you wouldn't go there. So now you got these subcategories, especially if you need accessibility. And then there's lifestyle section like hair salons, spas, antiques, home decor, and a few others, so you can get more dialed in for what you're actually looking for.
So when did they expand outside of just food? Because it didn't used to just be restaurants, or is it any kind of business? I guess it's kind of
any kind of business.
I guess that's true. They've been that way since the beginning.
Yeah, so Yelp, if you use Yelp, make sure you get that set up in your profile so that it'll be a little more dialed in for you.
And I just noticed there's a delivery tab for those of you who are interested in food to go. That seems to be a newer function.
Food delivery. There is a lot of that going on. Paris.
Yeah, the city or the gal who's a
Paris
debutante.
The city, hopefully it's not the debutante, maybe she's involved. They are testing new noise radar ticketing systems.
Noise, let me just digest this for a minute. Noise radar ticketing systems. I don't know that those words work together in any way, shape, or form. What is this?
So this is very much like photo radar for cars when they're driving around, and the red light cameras and the speed cameras where they take the photo and send you a ticket. Now this is using noise for loud vehicles, so they can set these up, and then they can mail you a ticket based on if your vehicle is too loud.
Isn't there a better term than noise radar? Because I'm not even sure it's technically accurate.
Yes, I do not think they do put it in quotation marks throughout the article. But yeah, so they've got about 40 devices and they're doing a trial now. Now, this definitely brings up the whole issue of surveillance systems and...
Yeah, but man... Every once in a while near my house, I live kind of on a main street near a kind of a shopping center, and there's one guy who just has to rev up his glass packs or whatever and roll by at 2 a.m. in the morning. He just thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. So I can see, maybe putting a stop to stuff like that would be kind of useful.
Yes. I could see if you have one of those vehicles, you wouldn't like it, but the rest of us, thank you. So we'll see if that stays in Paris and expands further out. My not news article of the week over at The Verge is titled "Angry Fans Keep Wrecking Podcasts with 1-Star Reviews."
Yeah, this is not my experience. I have not seen this anywhere. But
no, and we were actually discussing this because a podcast that we both listen to about podcasts from Libsyn, who is our podcast host, does a very good job. They talk about what they're finding in podcasts, and they have even said that the reviews really don't have a whole lot of effect on your podcast. In my app, the app that I use, which is Pocket Cast, I don't even see the reviews if I'm going to look for a new podcast. Less and less people are seeing the iTunes reviews.
I use Overcast, and the reviews are not available there. They're only there if you're in an iTunes Apple environment.
Yeah, this article is talking about how somebody made a big group they were talking trash about another podcast, so apparently everybody came and left 1-star reviews on their podcast, and it was really hurting them. And I think this is just, they needed something to write about before the Apple event gets here.
Yeah, The Verge, I love The Verge, but a lot of their headlines are sensational, and it's like, oh, we got to have an article today, so let's dig into the dumpster and see what we can find.
They are very hot take orientated, and I do enjoy a lot of their coverage and some of their takes. And one of them, Apple, they wrote to Apple, and Apple took down a bunch of them, so it's not even...
It's not news, like you said.
Not news. Our security and privacy stories of the week. Also, another not news, just kind of based on this. We talked about this back when it happened. There was a iPhone or an iOS hack that was happening that the Google security research team found, that we've talked about several times. They have this whole team that's just looking for exploits. Well, they were able to track down, I believe back in February, some exploits that were being used to, if you just went to a website on your phone, that it would be able to get data off of your phone,
and hack it.
A chain of 10 or 12 different exploits. Well, they told Apple about it. Apple sent out an emergency fix. It was fixed in days, but the Google team has just released their big report on this. So now it's this big thing. So at Wired, their sensational headline was, "Mysterious iOS attack changes everything we know about iPhone hacking." Now, one of the things with this is that they believe that it was used by the Chinese government to target very specific religious groups. And I heard on the Twit podcast, they were talking about it this week. And one of the guys' takes was that we would have known about this because one of the big things is it was around for years.
Yeah.
Well, if it was around for years, we would have known about it sooner. We think this is a very targeted, very limited to a couple Chinese websites for these specific people. It wasn't like out there everywhere in the wild.
So the question is should you be worried about it? The answer is no. With many of these type of things, if you are a public official or some type of celebrity or something that could be targeted by somebody, sure, you might want to be concerned about it. If you're the president of the United States, it's like, well, maybe I want to keep some tabs on this browser thing.
Yes.
But if you're everyday Joe, the chances are of you coming across this very particular linear process of hacking your phone by visiting websites is 1,000,000 to 1.
Yeah.
Because you have to be targeted. You have to be sent to a specific website. You have to do a certain action, which sends you to another website. I mean, it's this whole convoluted thing. And so everyday people are just not susceptible to these type of things. But if you are a type of person who there is a benefit to targeting you directly, you're very wealthy or you're a public official or something, then yes, then you need to be cautious of these things. But honestly, nobody cares about me enough to target me in this way, I hope, anyway.
And it's just a great reminder to keep your devices updated. I mean, there's nobody more motivated than Apple, Microsoft, and Google to keep their stuff updated to get rid of these as soon as they find out about them. Yeah. So, I mean, hacks are going to happen. But speaking of which, didn't put this in the show notes. I will add it in. Jack Dorsey, one of the founders of Twitter, his Twitter was hacked this last week.
Yeah. And who knows how that happened? It was probably social engineering.
Yeah.
Somebody dug up a bunch of information on him, guessed his password, went in there. But it's like, guess what? You just changed the password.
Yes. So two-factor authentication, which Twitter has, you should turn it on to any account that you care about, especially if you're somebody like the founder of Twitter.
Yes.
You should be using security precautions. That is a very direct example of what you were just talking about. Mm-hmm. If you are important or have important information, please put a little thought into the security of your devices and services.
Yes.
Malware, we're always talking about malware, and this was a very interesting story. Avast, which is a very popular, they have a free antivirus that a lot of people use.
And it's also something pirates say a lot.
Yes.
Avast, dear matey.
And so they found this malware, and they tracked it into France. This is our French episode. And they worked with French police to get access to what they needed to be able to shut down this malware. It was, I believe it was doing crypto mining on millions of devices, but they were able to reverse engineer it and find out where it was coming from and go in and shut it down. So then, and it could have been doing a lot worse things on these computers that had access, but together they were able to hijack and neutralize a massive cryptocurrency mining botnet controlling close to 1 million infected computers.
Wowzers.
So very cool story there. It's always good when we get some positive stuff in our security and privacy section. Our bonus odd take of the week, Dave, I don't know if you went and played this since I put it into the links, but it is just a cool website.
Trying it out right now.
It is a WebGL fluid simulation, and it doesn't take any browser extensions. You just go to the website. I've got a link in the show notes. There's a bunch of different settings, and you can create these cool, just liquid, bright, flowing designs. It's very soothing, very artsy.
There used to be an app for iOS called Fluid, and it was from one of these big, I can't even remember the type of company it was, like 3D modeling type company. It was called Fluid, but this is one of the best I've seen.
Yeah.
And I was sad when that app was not updated so you could use it on modern machines. I still have a copy of it on my older iPads and stuff like that. But it's just a fun toy to play around with. Now, I was trying it with my iPad, and I tried to change the sim resolution, and it got stuck. So your mileage may vary on mobile, but most of the things I'm able to adjust and play around with, and the performance on my iPad is rock solid.
Yeah.
But, it's so fun to play around and touch this weird fluid stuff.
And it's all done within the web browser, WebGL, so that's kind of what it's showcasing is just the possibility of
it's amazing
modern web browsers and some of the fun stuff you can do. So I think I'm going to show this to my daughter and have her play around with it. But yeah, it's looking great on your and works great on my laptop, obviously. But a fun little website to add to your bookmarks where you just need to do some mindless entertainment.
Yeah, I would say this improves on that app in every single way. And it might even be the same group behind this.
Well, that's true. And speaking on improving in everything in every single way, it's time for our picks of the week.
Oh, so Nate, so I thought long and hard about what my pick of the week was going to be this week. I hadn't purchased any items on Amazon for a while. I hadn't downloaded.
Okay?
Yeah, I know. I hadn't downloaded many programs, but I thought, you know what? You know what burns my hide? You know what makes me crazy is Spotify's outright refusal to add proper lyrics. We've talked about this before, to their service. I want to play Janet Jackson's song from the 80s, and I want to follow along the words because, maybe there's this one old song that says, "Excuse me while I kiss this guy." And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Why is he kissing this guy? Well, of course, the lyric is, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky," right? So that's what lyrics are good for. Yes. So you can kind of parse through these old songs.
Get
the
song.
meaning. It's poetry. It's awesome. Well, Spotify just doesn't do it. But I found a solution finally. And I know this has been around a while, but Apple Music recently added lyrics. Amazon Music's had them forever. And now with a little app I like to call Music's Match, you can do the same thing. Now, I downloaded this app a long time ago and played around with it. It's probably before I even had Spotify. And I was like, meh. But I recently rediscovered it. And what you do is it works with Apple Music, with Amazon Music, and with Spotify. But Spotify is the one that I was interested in. You just link your account. And if you're on iOS or Android, you just launch the app and you can play your Spotify playlists and music through the application. Or there's even for PC and Mac an application you can download. And a window will pop up and float beside your Spotify app and show you the lyrics. And you can even do more. If you want to be a contributor, you can go into Music's Match's interface and you can update the lyrics if they're wrong. You can add lyrics to a song that doesn't have any. And you can adjust the lyric follow-along feature. So if it needs to start 1 or 2 seconds earlier before it goes to the next line, or if it goes to the next line too soon, you can be a contributor and help adjust these things. And so I was working with a song today. I corrected a couple lyrics. I adjusted some of the pop-up for the next line, and it was a lot of fun. So
nice.
So
this is actually what my one of my cousins does for a living. He works for a subcontractor of a big fruit company that we know very well, and they have a team. And my wife was actually looking at getting into it, where for Apple's lyrics, they just have people just listening to songs, adjusting things, perfecting this. But so I do see there are some in-app purchases. What is there?
Yes, for the iOS, there's an ad banner at the bottom, and you can purchase an ad-free option if you'd like.
Gotcha.
I did not notice anything on the desktop. It seemed to be 100% free, but it is ad supported. So if you don't like that, you can pay a nominal fee to have that taken away. But I was using it with ads, and it was not intrusive at all. The ads stayed in a little bar at the bottom, and it didn't distract from my experience at all.
I didn't know if you would have limits or if it was just for ads.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Very cool. Well, my pick of the week, I believe it was just last week, we mentioned this in answer to Jared on his question about Costco and Apple Watch, and it was the Apple Reminders app. And I said, you know what? I am getting back into the Apple Reminders app. Dave, between the two of us, how many different reminders and to-do list apps have we used?
Many.
We have tried many, and I go, you know what? Apple's Reminders app is good enough for what I need. It ties, again, to my watch, my phone, my laptop. I believe you can do it at iCloud.com if you need to, if you're on a Windows PC. But I live in Apple's world. I can use Siri with it. I can do whatever. And so I really got into it. And then as I started getting into it this last week, scheduling things, putting scheduled reminders, as well as just keeping my daily to-do list, my long-term to-do list, kind of using the getting things done method of different things. I was talking to a guy who's running the betas, and he was showing me on his iPad the new functionality coming to the Reminders app, it is going to be amazing. There are so many new features with folders and natural language where you can just type in something and it'll kind of schedule it for you. So I am fully on board with Apple Reminders now and extra excited for the new software coming out this fall.
Excellent.
So it is a very good one. Our Ramazon purchase of the week, Dave. We love it. When you guys go to Amazon through amazon.notnerd.com, you do your shopping there, we get a little kickback. I love just going into the anonymous reports to see what you guys are buying. And this week, I'm picking 2 products, which we've done before, but...
Is it some labels? Because I bought some labels.
Did you buy some labels? It was not labels. I know those ones are you. This could have been you, though, and I'm wondering if this is the same person or by coincidence, within the last month, 2 people have bought very similar products. The first one is the Topricin Foot Pain Relief Therapy Cream 4-ounce fast-acting pain-relieving rub. And the second one is the BioFreeze Pain Relief Gel for Arthritis 3-ounce roll-on topical analgesic, fast-acting and long-lasting cooling pain reliever cream for muscle pain, joint pain, back pain, colorless formula.
Oh boy, that's a mouthful. And, I am getting older, but I did not purchase these products because this sounds like someone who maybe has some aches and pains.
Yes, and so I'm very curious if it is one of you listeners that bought both of these. Please let us know which one works better. We do have some BioFreeze at home. I've used that if I, tweak my back or something like that. They're a big sponsor of the Blazers, so I know a chiropractor who really believes in the BioFreeze, and the Topricin looks for very similar as a foot pain relief cream, but I'm sure it would work other places well. I don't know that it says for foot, arch, heel, ankle, and nerve pain, but I would think that it would work on other parts of the body. I am not sure.
It's just like with financial advice, take no medical advice from us. So
No.
Don't be sticking it on your tongue if you have a tongue ache.
Yes. Dave, I'll just ask you, what do you think you would pay for a 4-ounce of the foot cream or a 3-ounce roll-on, so like a deodorant type thing of the BioFreeze?
I think the foot cream's going to be somewhere solidly... Man, I don't buy these products, so I'll probably be way off. I'm going to be like $6 for the thing. And then for the roll-on, I'm going to go with $5. Is that what these things cost?
No, you are lucky that you're not in pain because it's $13.65 for the foot cream and $10.82 for the BioFreeze.
I thought I might be a little low, but I didn't want to feel like I was... Oh, I don't know. What's a candy bar cost? $10?
Yes.
Something like that.
Old out of touch Dave, we call you. Well, with that, we're going to get out of touch with you guys with this week's episode. Just a reminder, next week we will have the wrap up of the Apple event that we will be watching, which is Tuesday morning, September 10th. I believe at 10 a.m. is when they'll be live streaming that, but most people don't have the time to sit around and watch that live stream, so just listen to
we
Notnerd.
do.
Yes.
We'll be sitting there watching it live.
Yes, we love to watch those events, holding hands and drinking some coffee together. This week, we would love to hear from you. If there's a way that you use spreadsheets, if there's something that you're doing with Excel, if you get really deep into the WebGL fluid simulation, if your phone was attacked by the Chinese government, let us know. If you have a question, please just let us know. We get some text message. We had one actually from Jared on his Fortnite account and transferring some purchases to his son. But we try to stay away from the Fortnite talk because we don't have a lot of Fortnite listeners. But send us your questions. We'll talk about them. We'll try to answer his. He might have had another one. We'll get to that possibly next week or the next week because of the Apple event. But we love hearing from you guys, and we love that you guys are listening. Now get out there and tech better.
So my guess is it's an animated thing with those, like they're liquid in there, doing their own little levels, and they just did like a freeze frame. Like there's this little blue tip over here, so it's like inside, the green is like inside this blue, but there's this weird thing, and then this is like behind it. Now if this is liquid and clear in the middle, I don't know. I digress.